Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now that a lot of people don't want to hear, but they need to hear. If a man is watching this and he feels something stirring in his chest, if he's thinking about you while pretending he's not, if your name pops up in his mind when the room gets quiet, he is going to call you. He is going to text you, not because you chased him, not because you begged him, but because something inside him finally woke up. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey. Let me slow this thing down and talk to you real plain, because this first point right here changes everything if you truly understand it. Silence does not automatically mean a man doesn't care. I know that's hard to accept, because when someone goes quiet, the first thing your heart does is panic. You start replaying conversations. You start questioning your worth. You start thinking you said too much or didn't say enough. But the truth is, a lot of men go silent not because they feel nothing, but because they feel too much and don't know what to do with it. See, men are not taught how to sit with emotion. From the time we're little boys, we're told to be tough, to suck it up, to stop crying, to handle it on our own. So when emotions hit us as adults, especially emotions tied to love, attachment, and vulnerability, many men don't lean in. They shut down. Silence becomes a coping mechanism. It's not rejection, it's overload. When a man starts caring deeply, his mind starts racing. He wonders if he's ready. He wonders if he can live up to expectations. He wonders if he might get hurt. And instead of talking through those thoughts, he pulls back to regain control, because control is where men feel safe. And silence gives him that illusion of control. Now, here's where most women unintentionally push him further away. When he goes quiet, you rush in with questions, explanations, emotions, and pressure. You want reassurance, which is completely human. But to a man who's already emotionally overwhelmed, that pressure feels like another wave crashing over him. So instead of answering, he retreats even more. Let me tell you something important. Men process emotions in isolation. Women process emotions through connection. That difference alone causes so many misunderstandings. When you want closeness, he wants space, not to lose you, but to understand himself. And the moment you realize that, you stop personalizing his silence. A man who doesn't care doesn't struggle. He doesn't go quiet trying to figure things out. He simply disappears. No conflict, no inner tension, no emotional weight. Silence that comes from indifference feels cold and final. Silence that comes from care feels heavy and unresolved. And that unresolved feeling is what eventually pulls him back to his phone. Because when the noise settles, when the fear calms down, when he finally organizes his emotions, one thought keeps coming back: you, your energy, your presence, the way you made him feel seen without demanding. And that's when silence turns into a message. But here's the key, and this part is critical. He reaches out faster when you don't chase the silence, when you don't try to fix it, when you don't make it mean something about your value. The calmness you show during his silence speaks volumes to his subconscious. It tells him you're emotionally secure. It tells him you're not trying to trap him. It tells him it's safe to come back. Men don't open up when they feel cornered. They open up when they feel accepted. And acceptance doesn't mean tolerating disrespect. It means not reacting out of fear. When you hold your ground with grace, when you keep your dignity intact, when you don't spiral, you stand out. That's when curiosity kicks in. That's when he starts wondering why you're not blowing up his phone like he expected. That's when he starts feeling the absence he thought he needed. And absence, when combined with emotional connection, creates longing. Let me be clear about something else. Silence is often a test, even if the man doesn't realize he's testing you. He's unconsciously checking. Will she panic? Will she chase? Will she lose herself? Or will she stay solid? And when you stay solid, you pass without even trying. A woman who doesn't collapse in silence sends a powerful message: I like you, but I don't need you to survive. That balance is irresistible. It commands respect. And respect is what makes a man step forward. Not charm, not beauty, not words. Respect. Eventually, the quiet gets uncomfortable for him, because now he's alone with his thoughts and you're no longer filling the gaps. He starts imagining your life without him. He wonders if you've moved on emotionally. He wonders if he missed his chance. And that's when the phone lights up. Not because you forced it, not because you demanded it, but because his emotions finally caught up with him. Silence doesn't mean the story's over. Sometimes silence is the space where the feeling grows strong enough to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey. Let me talk to you about something most people misunderstand, especially when it comes to why a man finally decides to call or text. Men do not respond fastest to pressure, to demands, or to emotional chasing. Men respond fastest when they feel valued, respected, and emotionally safe. And that right there is not weakness. That's biology and upbringing colliding in one place. See, a man can be attracted to you, desire you, even miss you, and still hesitate to reach out if he feels like every conversation is going to turn into an interrogation or a courtroom trial. Men associate communication with consequences. From a man's perspective, talking is not just talking. Talking can mean being judged, corrected, misunderstood, or made to feel like he's already failing. So when communication feels unsafe, silence becomes easier. Now let me break this down real plain. Feeling valued does not mean you flatter a man nonstop. Feeling valued means he feels like who he is right now is enough to be in your presence. Feeling respected means he doesn't feel small when he talks to you. And feeling safe means he believes he can show interest without being immediately expected to promise the future. A lot of women don't realize how fast a man shuts down when he feels like every message is loaded with expectation. When he texts and the response comes back heavy with emotion, subtext, or pressure, his instinct is to retreat. Not because he doesn't like you, but because his mind goes into defense mode. Men are wired to avoid emotional landmines. But when a man feels respected, something shifts. Respect tells him, I see you as a man, not a project. And no man wants to feel like a project. He wants to feel trusted. He wants to feel like he's choosing you, not being pushed into choosing you. Here's the part most people miss. Respect is felt, not announced. You don't tell a man you respect him. You show it by how you respond, by how you listen, by how you don't punish him for honesty. When a man opens up even a little and doesn't get attacked, corrected, or emotionally overwhelmed in return, he remembers that. That moment sticks with him, and emotional safety is the real key. Emotional safety means he believes he can come forward without losing his freedom. It means he doesn't feel like one text leads to 10 questions. It means he doesn't feel like calling you means he's signing a contract he's not ready for yet. Men crave peace more than they crave excitement. Let me say that again because it's important. Men crave peace more than they crave excitement. Attraction might pull him in, but peace is what makes him stay and reach out again. When a man associates you with calm, with understanding, with ease, his mind naturally goes back to you. He wants to check in. He wants to hear your voice. He wants to reconnect because being around you feels like relief, not obligation. Now contrast that with the opposite. When a man feels like every interaction might turn into emotional tension, he delays, he avoids, he waits until he has the energy to deal with it, and sometimes that delay gets misinterpreted as lack of interest. But it's not always that. Sometimes it's emotional exhaustion before the conversation even begins. Here's where a lot of power sits, and most women don't even realize it. When you don't overreact, when you don't overanalyze, when you don't make him responsible for managing your emotions, you create safety. You show him that connecting with you doesn't cost him his peace. And the irony is this: the less pressure a man feels, the more initiative he takes. The more he feels free, the more he chooses. Men don't want to be chased into commitment. They want to arrive there on their own, feeling strong, confident, and respected. That's when the calls become consistent. That's when the texts stop feeling forced. That's when he reaches out just to hear your voice, not because he owes you something, but because he wants to. A man will always move toward where he feels like a man, where he feels capable, where he feels appreciated for effort, not punished for imperfection. And when you create that environment, you don't have to remind him to text you back. You don't have to question where you stand. His actions start answering those questions for you, because once a man feels valued, respected, and emotionally safe, reaching out doesn't feel risky anymore. It feels natural. And when it feels natural, it happens fast. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey, let me tell you something about pursuit, because this is where a lot of people get confused. Pulling back with confidence is not the same thing as playing games, and it is definitely not the same thing as pretending you don't care. Pulling back with confidence simply means you stop overextending yourself emotionally and you allow a man the space to feel his own desire. And that space, when handled correctly, creates curiosity that no amount of talking ever could. Men are natural problem solvers and chasers by design. When something comes too easily, the brain doesn't register it as valuable. It might be enjoyable, but it doesn't activate the part of the mind that invests, protects, and decommits. But when something feels meaningful and slightly uncertain, the mind leans in. It starts asking questions. It starts paying attention. Here's where confidence changes everything. When you pull back from chasing, from explaining, from constantly checking in, and you do it calmly, not angrily, not dramatically, a man notices. He expects panic. He expects confrontation. He expects emotional noise. When none of that comes, his curiosity wakes up. He starts wondering, why hasn't she called? He starts wondering, did I do something wrong? He starts wondering, is she okay without me? And those questions pull him closer. Confidence is felt in energy, not in words. When you pull back with insecurity, it feels like a test. When you pull back with confidence, it feels like self-respect. And men can sense the difference immediately. One pushes him away, the other draws him in. See, a confident woman doesn't withdraw to punish. She withdraws to rebalance. She doesn't disappear to manipulate. She simply stops giving more than she's receiving. And that balance shift is powerful, because now the man has room to step forward. Men step up when they feel needed, but not when they feel depended on. There's a difference. Need invites contribution. Dependence creates pressure. When you pull back just enough to remove pressure, he feels invited instead of obligated. That's when pursuit becomes natural. He doesn't feel chased. He feels chosen. And being chosen is one of the saints' wrongest motivators for a man. Now, let me say this clearly. If a man truly doesn't care, pulling back won't suddenly make him care. And that's actually a blessing, because it saves you time. But if a man has interest, attraction, or emotional connection, pulling back with dignity activates that interest, because now he has space to miss you. Missing someone is not about distance alone. It's about contrast. It's about feeling the difference between presence and absence. When you are always there, there is no contrast. When you step back, the contrast becomes clear. He remembers how it felt when you were around. He notices the silence. He replays moments. And that internal replay is what creates emotional attachment, not conversation, reflection. A man doesn't realize how much he values something until he feels the gap. And that gap is what makes him reach for his phone. Here's another thing people don't talk about enough. When you pull back confidently, you also regain control of your own emotional center. You stop obsessing over his responses. You stop checking your phone every 5 minutes. That shift alone changes your energy. And energy is everything. Men are extremely sensitive to emotional energy, even if they don't talk about it. When you feel grounded, secure, and self-focused, you become more attractive. Not because you're distant, but because you're whole. And wholeness is magnetic. A man doesn't chase chaos, he chases clarity. And a woman who knows when to step back shows clarity. She shows boundaries. She shows that she values herself enough not to overgive. That self-value forces a man to evaluate his own effort. He starts asking himself if he's doing enough. And once a man starts questioning his effort, his behavior begins to change. That's when the text comes in casually, trying to reestablish connection. That's when the call happens just to check on you, But it's never just checking, it's testing the door, seeing if the connection is still there, and because you pulled back with confidence instead of bitterness, the door is calm, not hostile. It's open, not desperate, and that makes it safe for him to step through. Pulling back with confidence doesn't lose the right man. It reveals him. And when a man feels that shift, when curiosity turns into desire and desire turns into action, reaching out becomes inevitable. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey. Now let me tell you about energy, because energy is everything when it comes to making a man reach out. It's not what you say. It's not how many texts you send. It's not how perfectly you explain yourself. It's the energy you carry that tells a man whether he's welcome, whether he matters, and whether he's safe to step into your world. Energy is a language men understand before words even form. And if your energy is strong, calm, and confident, it's irresistible. See, men are wired to respond to signals more than explanations. You can talk until you're blue in the face, but if your energy is needy, anxious, or desperate, he will feel it before your words land. And when a man feels that kind of energy, his instinct is not to step forward, it's to retreat. Because no one wants to walk into chaos, not even a man who says he cares. But when your energy says peace, self-respect, and stability, it creates a gravitational pull. Suddenly he wants in. Suddenly he feels the urge to reach out. Let me break this down further. Your energy communicates boundaries without saying a word. When you are centered, focused, and not overextending for his attention, it tells him that you are self-sufficient. You are not hanging on his every action or reaction. And a man respects that more than he respects a perfect text message or a long explanation. Respect, desire, and attraction grow in that energy space. It doesn't grow in pressure, doesn't grow in chasing. It grows in presence. Energy also communicates value. When you carry yourself with confidence and self-worth, you are broadcasting the message, I know who I am, and I won't settle for less than what I deserve. A man doesn't want a woman who doubts herself constantly. He wants a woman who values herself enough to create space, to set standards, and to show that life doesn't stop when he goes quiet. That energy alone makes him think, I can't let her slip away. Now, let's talk about the pull that happens when your energy is aligned with your life. When you're fully living, working on yourself, enjoying your friends, pursuing your goals, and being happy in your own skin, you send out a subtle signal. You are whole. You are not incomplete. And men are drawn to wholeness. It challenges them to rise. It sparks curiosity. He starts wondering what it is about you that allows you to stay joyful without him constantly validating you. That curiosity, that's what pulls him back. That's what makes him reach for the phone. And here's the key. Your energy is contagious, but it must be authentic. Men can feel fake energy from a mile away. Pretending to be indifferent or overplaying calmness doesn't work in the long run. What works is being genuinely focused on your life, genuinely confident in your value, and genuinely patient. Authentic energy resonates. It communicates that you are not desperate, that you are not afraid, and that you are not willing to sacrifice your peace for anyone. Let me also remind you that men hate pressure. Energy that is frantic or anxious is pressure. Energy that is calm and composed is invitation. When you maintain your energy, you invite him to step into your world on his own terms, not because you forced him, but because he wants to. Men respond to freedom more than restriction. The moment they feel freedom within a relationship or potential connection, their desire multiplies. Here's another truth. When your energy is aligned with self-respect and emotional strength, it triggers reflection. He starts thinking about how he treated you. He starts remembering the moments when you made him feel appreciated without smothering him. He starts evaluating his actions. And once a man starts evaluating his actions, he begins to act differently. Suddenly, reaching out is not optional. It feels necessary. And energy doesn't just attract him, it also holds the power to set the tone for the entire interaction. When he does finally call or text, the energy you bring determines whether the connection escalates or fizzles. If your energy is calm, confident, and grounded, He feels safe. He feels motivated. He feels appreciated. He feels challenged in a good way. But if your energy is shaky, needy, or defensive, it sends the opposite signal and undoes the pull you've built. The beautiful thing about energy is that it's consistent. Unlike words or text messages, which can be misread or forgotten, your energy communicates constantly. Every glance, every tone, every interaction carries it. Men pick up on that energy subconsciously. And if your energy consistently communicates self-worth, independence, and calm, it will always draw him back. Let me be clear about one last thing. This is not manipulation. This is not some psychological trick. This is understanding human nature. This is understanding how attraction works. When a man sees that your energy is solid, he realizes that he has to match it if he wants a connection. He sees that reaching out isn't just about desire. It's about stepping up, earning space, and showing that he values what you bring to the table. When your energy speaks, it leaves a mark. It creates longing. It creates curiosity. It creates a pull that no words, no explanation, and no chase can replicate. And that pull is what makes a man pick up the phone. That pull is what makes him text. That pull is what makes him come back. Because men are wired to respond to strength, presence, and authenticity more than anything else. So if you want him to reach out, focus on your energy first. Focus on your confidence. Focus on your peace. Carry yourself in a way that communicates without saying a word that you are whole, you are grounded, and you are not desperate. Do that and trust me, the call will come. The message will arrive. And when it does, it will be because your energy made it inevitable.